What do American, British and Greek voters have in common? They all rejected current globalization. I want to make it clear, some of them reject any globalization, but most are opposed to this globalization and would welcome an alternative proposal. British voters perceived that there is something very wrong with this European Union. They may have not voted for Brexit if EU was different. Greek voters realized that their economic problems are not solved under current circumstances and the situation does not get any better. They chose the path of fixing their problems, even at the cost of leaving Eurozone and European Union. Unlike Great Britain, Greece is a pseudo-democracy and the decision of Greek people was never followed. EU and globalization are closely related because they are about the same issues. EU is the most advanced example of integration and a monumental failure. To be precise, there are very many flaws in this EU. Perhaps they could be fixed, but it does not seem that there is a will or the ability to turn things around. It is likely that European Union will follow the path of Soviet Union. Examining EU should interest not only EU citizens, but everyone in this world, because they can draw conclusions about what globalization would be like. Also, Greece is a very special case in EU. It is not the only country in EU with big problems. It is the worst case because the governments that ruled for several decades were the worst of all European governments. The corrupt and incompetent governments that brought the country to ruins and caused a major European and international problem were strongly supported by Brussels, Berlin, Paris, and had the approval of Washington. European political establishment still strongly supports this ring of liars, thieves, criminals, traitors, conspirators, terminators, and assists them in every possible way in their effort to rule again so that they can complete the destruction of the country and achieve the total pauperization of the Greek population. Greece is an interesting case study of the big damage that can be caused in a country's economy by globalization forces. Therefore, it should interest every citizen of this world. According to one definition, globalization is the process of international integration that stems from the exchange of products, ideas, and cultures. The International Monetary Fund identifies four aspects of globalization: A. Trade and transactions, B. Capital and investments, C. Migration and movements of people, D. Dissemination of knowledge. Academics divide globalization into 3 or 5 areas: A. Economic, B. Political, C. Cultural, D. Military, E. Environmental. They all agree on the first 3 and some add the last 2. Gloalinmo is a word derived from the initials of Globalization Alternative International movement. At present, we are a network of only a few hundred. We hope that this number will increase dramatically in the future. We are not an anti-globalization organization. We feel that current globalization is in the wrong direction. We seek a moderate, prudent, fair, careful alternative to the disastrous globalization that we have experienced in the past 2 to 3 decades. In this series of short videos, we will deal with globalization and global issues. One expression that ultra-globalists favor is those who are left behind. This has the implication that the ones that are hurt the most by their reckless policies are weak or incapable to follow. In reality, it is their flawed and superficial perception that is causing all these problems. We are seeking to fix the problems that these extremists created with their carelessness and protect those that are hurt by their unmindful and hazardous contact. Both our and their approach have the word care as the first part of the adjective. Theirs is followed by the word less, while ours has the word full as the second part. Theirs is with no care, while ours is full of care. This globalization is an alliance of naive idealists and truly evil people. Some may have good intentions but do not understand entirely the mechanisms. Their motives are idealistic, one world united, solidarity for poorer nations, etc. Due to their lack of understanding, they do not realize that by pursuing ideological goals, they are doing big damage in a large part of their fellow countrymen, and especially the weaker ones. The voters that were hurt took their revenge in recent USA elections and UK referendum. Traditionally, workers have been on the Democratic side. This was reversed in 2016 USA elections. Although worker unions supported Clinton, a large percentage of blue-collar workers voted for Trump. Other ultra-globalists have an excellent understanding of the mechanisms and strive to gain huge profits from the globalization process at the expense of their compatriots. They are truly evil human beings. Everything is clear to them. They have no confusion, doubts, or second thoughts. They know exactly what they want. They want money. Live a filthy rich life and let fellow countrymen die. There is much talk about the New World Order. Which New World Order are we talking about? Everybody defines it in a different way. There are several opinions among proponents and opponents. New World Order and globalization are related but not the same. A new world order will emerge partly due to globalization and other factors as well. The new world order is the outcome and globalization is the process and one of the factors that will determine the outcome. There are two extreme positions regarding globalization. The first calls for one world government, one religion, one currency, and free movement of people, goods, and capital all over the world. This is the view that ultra-globalists hold, although they do not express it publicly. The other is the ultra-ethnocentric that supports political, economic, and cultural isolation. In between, there are several shades of grey. There are two naive, superficial, narrow-minded, and extreme opposite judgments on globalization. The one says that globalization is all good, and the other that it is all bad. Globalization has several aspects. On each aspect, there are several positions between two extremes. Therefore, there are literally infinite approaches on the issue of globalization. In many aspects, there are winners and losers. There are a few instances where there are no losers. Let's take two examples. There are definitely winners and losers in the case of free trade and free movement of people. On the other hand, there are no losers in establishing an international language that will be the second official language of the countries that will agree to accept that. On certain aspects, there is no need for a shade of grey. These are the ones where there are only winners and no losers. We strongly support global spreading of ideas, communication and understanding among nations. We are 100% for an official world language that will be second to native languages. On issues where there are winners and losers, we prefer shades of grey. Frequently, our differences are a matter of scale, the answers to the questions of how much and how soon. Although our differences are a matter of scale, scale is rarely discussed in politics. Among Donald Trump's main promises was to deal with the immigration problem, and especially that from Latin America. He realized that this was a serious concern for a large percentage of voters. There was a 43% population growth in Hispanics between 2000 and 2010, from 12.5% to 16.3%. Some voters would not want a single Hispanic in the United States. Others would not object a more than 90% Hispanics percentage. Most hold a position in between. Something very similar is the time horizon on different aspects of globalization. An international language could be established as soon as possible. Free movement of products and people should be seen as a very long-term goal and not as an immediate policy. For many decades, ultra-globalization forces were the winners. People in advanced countries were waiting to see where it will lead. Voters in USA, Britain and Greece realized that it has taken the wrong path and voted towards more ethnocentrism that has gained momentum. We seek to reach a middle ground between ultra-globalists and ultra-ethnocentrics. Globalism and nationalism are not mutually exclusive, as it will be explained. Most likely, in the end, a balance will be achieved between the opposing forces, and some compromise will be unavoidable.